Welcome back to All Cars, y'all. I am John. It's time for another reaction video. This week I have chosen the 2004 Cadillac XLR. I've been kind of on a Cadillac kick, if you haven't noticed, and I'm trying to kind of bookend it with this car. I've done the ATS, the CTS, the DTS, the Elante, and I want to finish with this car because I've got a lot to say about it. So as always, make yourself comfortable, settle down, get ready to take that trip down memory lane with your beverage of choice. We have literally cold coffee today. Not iced coffee, just cold. So let's jump into it.
It's made possible by Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper and TireRack.com.
In a world driven by pop culture and breaking news, there is one American car company ready to deliver on both fronts. With their jeweled jumbo Escalade SUVs and beat Europe at their own game CTS sports sedan, Cadillac is back and turning heads once again with their boldest entry yet, the 2004 XLR Luxury Roadster. This sleek drop top combines Cadillac style and luxury with performance car roots. But can this modern icon stand up to its star-studded siblings? And more importantly, will it give its classmates a run for their money?
Okay, so before they move on, let's talk about this styling real quick. So I have talked at length about Cadillac's move to their art and science styling. The first generations were just chunky and clunky and had no elegance to them, right? And honestly, it was recognized, and they smoothed it out, and they worked it, and they improved it. And art and science cuts both ways. On the one hand, good for Cadillac. To stand out and to be a more premium brand, they had to do something. And they came out with something that's definitely distinctive. The problem is, as I've said over and over again, and this car represents it as well, it never quite rises to the level of what I think you could get from the Germans, from Audi, Mercedes, and BMW. This is a fantastic looking car. It is by itself gorgeous, okay? I would happily drive one. I would happily have one in my driveway. But when you start to look at some of the details, it ends up looking just a little clunky. Like the fog lights right here, they're just so square. And the grille underneath the bumper, right? So rectangular. And the headlights, everything's refined down. You get the sharp edge all along to the back, to the trunk, and everything back there is just kind of too square. It's very attractive, and in fact, I do think this will be a classic. I do. But purely from a styling perspective, while it's gorgeous, in my humble opinion, if you placed it up against a BMW, or specifically I'm thinking Mercedes, it lacks that extra something special that makes it special, right? That makes it like, wow, I want to buy one and keep it in a museum. Hard to say, hard to explain how I think it's absolutely gorgeous and I would love one. But if you put a Mercedes and this side by side, I'd pick the Mercedes because I just think it's got a more timelessness to it.
Importantly, will it give its classmates a run for their money? It will at least have them checking their backs, and why not? The 2004 Cadillac XLR has what it takes to compete. Fully embracing Cadillac's stealth fighter-inspired art and science styling and the spirit of the Evoque concept that caused such a stir at the 1999 North American International Auto Show in Detroit, the XLR emerges as Cadillac's first two-seater since the 90s. But the XLR is no follow-up to the uninspired front-wheel drive Elante. This is a rear-wheel drive roadster with the sharp character of youth gone wild, shored up by the same chassis architecture as the forthcoming C6 Chevrolet Corvette. The XLR has all of the latest Caddy facial features, a strong horizontal bar grille and wide lower air inlet, flanked by creased headlight housings, secure and aggressive front fascia, while pronounced wheel arches, a tall belt line, and flush folding, steeply sloped hardtop reveal both its grace and greatness. The XLR's deep rear fascia is raised and a bit exposed, reminding everyone of its Corvette chassis performance roots. But that's well intended, since Cadillac's aim is to establish themselves as a global luxury brand, and that means the XLR must contend with such impressive offshore rivals as the Mercedes-Benz SL500, Jaguar XK8, and the Lexus SC430. In fact, the XLR has the widest track, longest wheelbase, lowest height, and weighs at least 200 pounds less than its prime competitors. The interior
That's interesting. And so from the fundamentals, I'm sure they'll get more to performance and the engine and everything else, but just the fundamentals, like, wait a minute, we're making the Corvette, which is Chevy's top, right? Let's turn it into a Cadillac. How is it not a good idea? And largely, although I've been critical of some of the pieces of the styling, the whole, I do think it's gorgeous. I think this is such a pretty, pretty car, but they showed it. The Jaguar is gorgeous. Just a classic, gorgeous car. Whether you question whether it'll be reliable or not is another thing. I don't buy the Lexus. I mean, maybe it competes in the same category, but no. But then there's the Mercedes. And I just think the Cadillac doesn't rise to that. I don't know, 50 years from now, will people look back at the Cadillac and be like, yeah, that was a Cadillac right there? I don't think so. I really don't. But it is an example of the time period for the past 20 some odd years that Cadillac's gotten ever more serious. General Motors has gotten ever more serious about Cadillac, not just being like, here, it's a warmed up Oldsmobile. It's a, like, what do we have to invest to fully compete with the Germans? I don't think they're there, and I don't think this was. But man, what heck of a car. Let's look at the interior.
The interior has standard amenities that are simply plush by any standard. Soft leather, eucalyptus wood, and aluminum accents, and Bulgari design gauges create an incomparable cabin. Convenience technology is a hallmark of this class, and the XLR is similar but with less fuss. Proximity keyless access and ignition, heated and cooled seats, head-up display, voice-activated telephone, OnStar, and a GPS navigation system that will also play back DVD videos when parked are all standard. Plus, something often lacking in elegant roadsters, plenty of interior storage. And to go from coupe to convertible, a single button stores the Four Seasons retractable hardtop under a hard tonneau cover in under 30 seconds. The top mechanism is sourced from the same firm that supplies the Mercedes-Benz SL, and it works with equal precision. Also, like the SL, once down, the trunk space shrinks dramatically from a small 11.6 cubic feet to a minimal 4.4 cubic feet. But practicality.
Wow. That's okay, so I guess if you're going to pick up groceries, put the top up. If you're going to take a trip to your mountain cabin and you need to throw a couple of duffels back there, well, you're doing it with the top up, I guess. I have such mixed feelings. I like the fact that it has a hard top, convertible hard top, get better insulation, better sound deadening, better wind noise reduction than a convertible. I think that gives it a more premium approach than a convertible. One of my hesitations about buying a convertible, while my Jeeps and the other convertibles I've driven, they were fine when I was younger. I think I'd get really tired of it. This is the compromise. And, the small trunk space with the top down, it doesn't really concern me. If you got the top down, you're probably just enjoying it. If you're traveling and you need luggage, you put the top up. Don't see it as a downside at all. Without the top down, with the top up, trunk good size, and the advantage of having that big rear end on it like that, like a rectangle. Interior. Ooh. Keeping in mind this was 22, 23 years ago now, 20 years ago. Really nice interior. Really nice. The seats and everything else, it looks good. Love the gauges. Really do. The center stack, I don't. The aluminum trim on stuff, to me, it just looks cheap. And this is part of where Cadillac has missed the boat for so long. Whether it's aluminum treatment or whether it's the piano black they use later on, or whether it's those capacitive touch buttons, that they just don't quite hit elegant and simple at the same time. This one, really well equipped. And I love the navigation that you can play DVDs on, but why do they have a center stack this tall and then take this much of it simply for the DVD slot and then stick everything else down low? Ergonomically, that doesn't quite work. It's a beautiful interior, except for that aluminum touches, but ergonomically, the middle part of it doesn't quite work for me. But the fact that they put in that folding storage in the door, and of course one right here between the seats, nice little touches. They actually, shows they actually put effort and thought into it and went that extra half a mile. I like it. Don't get me wrong. I like the interior. And it's an interior for its age.
Aside, the XLR is all about open-air play and display, and it shows both on the road and under the hood. No Corvette influence here. The XLR houses the revamped 4.6-liter dual overhead cam, all-aluminum 32-valve North Star V8. Now with variable valve timing, it generates 320 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. The V8 is matched with a 5-speed rear-mounted automatic transmission with manual driver shift mode. Standard wheels are 18-inch spun cast aluminums gripping all-season run flats. Set this Caddy loose on the track and the numbers speak graceful speed. 0 to 60 is a pretty quick 6.5 seconds. The quarter mile takes only 14.8 seconds at 97 miles per hour, roughly neck and neck with the SL500. But while the newcomer delivers smooth power and shifts, the sounds and sensations are not quite as pleasing as the seasoned competition. Yet despite its luxury image, the XLR handles like a road champ, owing its prowess to the rigid C6 chassis, magnetic ride control suspension, the best-feeling Magnasteer yet, and new generation StabiliTrak electronic stability control. On track, the double wishbone suspension with coils up front and the Corvette's familiar transverse plastic leaf spring at the rear delivers sharp near-neutral cornering, while the backbone chassis resists body roll and keeps each corner firmly planted. On road, the ride is both.
Oh, hold on. That was pretty impressive. Let's kind of work backwards. They didn't do the stopping. Maybe they'll come back to it. Through the slalom, that looked fantastic. No drama. Absolutely no drama. I don't know what to say. That looked really, 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 really good. And the fact that we don't know what speed they were going through, but it just went through it. No problem. Oh, that looked good. Acceleration, I admit, that's strong. Don't get me wrong. You know what I'm going to say here about the engine, right? I don't know how many videos I've said it. The North Star proved to be troublesome earlier on. They fixed the head bolt issue later. But regardless of whether you think your North Star is going to be troublesome or not, the fact is when you drove it, it was a sweet, sweet engine. I'd like a comparison. I'd like to drive one of these and the Mercedes back to back. And when they say it doesn't sound quite as good, I'd like to hear that back to back. But engine is sweet. I like it. And altogether, while it weighs less and it's got a good engine and good transmission and the acceleration just felt a little slow. Now, there's no drama with it at all. I wonder if that's an overactive traction control system, or if maybe the gearing was changed to provide more acceleration without Boy Racer, blowing you away. I don't know. I expected it just a touch faster than that, like 6 seconds, something like that. Still a good result. They said it ran neck and neck with the Mercedes. Great result. I'm being overly picky. I know I am, and there's a reason for it here at the end.
Both smoother and quieter than any Corvette we've ever tried, with excellent bump control. There's no body flex to speak of over rough roads, and even with the top down, only an occasional structural tick. The XLR delivered stops from 60 that averaged a short 121 feet. The all-vented disc with 4-channel ABS performed expertly and kept the Caddy safe and stable. And safe is where the XLR falls in price, at $76,200 to start, and the only option being a $325 XM satellite stereo. The XLR sticker sits in the middle of its rarefied class, and about 10 grand less than the Mercedes-Benz SL 500. Bottom line, Cadillac's rookie Roadster may not yet be the class leader, but right out of the gate it proved to us that it can easily trot with the front runners. Moreover, the XLR joins the CTS sedan, and showing the Cadillac brand has not only turned the corner, but is turning heads around the globe.
Oh, this is interesting. So what I was planning on saying, what I was thinking about, because I don't watch these in advance, I want you to get a real raw me stumbling and pausing and thinking of, well, what do I think of what I just saw, right? But I do kind of think about the car, my experiences with them, and what I want to say about, often their positioning. And in this case, what I was planning was, I want you to pretend it's 2004. You are an executive, you just got promoted at your company, you're making a really good income. The kids are out of the house, you've got your house, you've got your country club membership, and you want a car. You want a car that says, I have arrived, right? And there's some offerings out there, one of which is that Mercedes. Just putting them side by side, as good as the Cadillac is, the Mercedes is better. And part of this car, these kind of cars, this class of car, if you just wanted to spend the money and have the luxury and feel it, you'd probably get a sedan. If you're buying a car like this, you want a little bit of performance in a big package, but you want to be noticed. You want people to be like, oh, who's that? What's that? I know how much money he spent for that car. And if that's what you want, I want to say posing a little bit, you want the Mercedes. And if you come from old money and you want to keep it, enjoy it, but keep it in a garage somewhere, you probably want the Mercedes. And so Cadillac didn't quite hit the home run. It's good. It's really good. But then it's $10,000 less. Ooh, all of a sudden, that's a meaningful amount, right? If it was priced within $1,000 or $2,000, stretch to the SL. But for $10,000 less dollars, suddenly the Cadillac should be appealing. After this video is over, I'm going to go look up and see if I can find what the sales were for this and compare it with the SL. Because this is a really good package. And I'm going to close with this. I absolutely would love to. I'm also going to go to Auto Trader, CarMax, Carvana, places like that. I'm going to go look and see how much these things are 20 years later. For my own curiosity, because I could see myself driving one of these. This is a car that speaks to me very, very much. And because it's a little bit different, it's not the BMW, Audi, Mercedes that everybody else gets. It's a little bit different, and it's American. And all of these Cadillac videos I've been doing, and I encourage you to go look at them. If you haven't watched the CTS and the ATS and everything else, I have developed a greater appreciation for Cadillac in doing these, partially in hearing new things, but partially in looking at a bigger picture. And I do want to buy American. I like to buy American. I like Cadillac. I love Cadillac's history. I would want to own a car that was part of that history. You know what I mean? I mean, and the fact is that it's a Cadillac, but it's also the counterculture choice. Every yuppie gets a BMW. Every yuppie, in IT gets a Mercedes or an Audi or a Genesis if they're looking for, a little value there. The Cadillac is the counterculture now. And I like that. Kind of fits everything all together at once. I appreciate you being here, and I'm going to move on to some other things other than Cadillac for a while, I think. But this one speaks to me. This plucks a couple of heartstrings. Sorry. And this is a great car. Man, I love this. And I appreciate its place in history. Will it ever be a collector's item? I don't know. But wouldn't it be cool to own one? Thanks so much for being here, guys. I hope you have a good one.